Generals gathered in the masses, just like witches at black masses. Very fitting, that song. But the generals around the world, not just American, as they all work together as part of the clown structure, whether that's American, Russian, Chinese, Israeli, Iran, you name it. They all work together. And on Saturday, they declared global martial law between them, with no apparent plan to enforce it or act upon it. They were all reminded that they would not be in control of it. They cannot declare martial law and be in control of it. So what kind of martial law were we looking at? Well, in America alone, it would have meant UN and FEMA goons arresting and shooting Americans is what? Fact, not fiction. The group known as the BlackRock, Black Dragon, Blackwater, Black Trust, even all the colour-coded programs that they have, are putting the heat on the government along with the banks. And they raised a total of $62 billion. To put that into perspective, that $62 billion would run out by spending of the US government alone by noon on Saturday in one single week. And between them, they are planning to buy up America for pennies on the dollar and sell it to a Chinese consortium, not the government, for $2 trillion. What is the figure of the stimulus bill? $2 trillion. You're seeing the picture now. On Tuesday, the Democrats tried to renew the contract for the Fed to carry on the old system. That failed. They're also trying to create the digital dollar. That failed. And now the Marshall Plan is in the stimulus bill. But the Marshall Plan can only be ran by one group, not theirs. The $500 billion that was within the bill was for the Federal Reserve to bail out the banks and liquidate things. That was not part of the stimulus plan. Kim arranged for a deal with the US government, direct, for $2.5 trillion for a range of things that we've covered in previous shows, and told Mr. Trump how to deliver it. And the funds were transferred, plus the 2% trust fee, which is separate. That is paid by the trust, not the government, for administrative costs. And we waited, and we waited, and the hacking blocks went on, and so the funds were not released and were all pulled back. The banks lied to the president. All of them. There is no stimulus plan without the trust. There will be no virus relief checks. There is no universal basic package. all of the exbillions or trillions proposals on TV or the media are all total BS, no matter who says it. Zip, nada. There are no funds until they pay the trustee. None. And once all grasp and understand that as a fact, then we can quit with the BS and the fear-based nonsense. Instead of following the plan that Kim and I came up with of how to deliver the relief, the clowns decided they were going to use the IRS, who are now closed. Why? Because it's payback time, isn't it? A lot of people get refunds coming up shortly. I wouldn't expect them for many months. Keeping hold of the funds. Word on the back channels is they are planning, listen closely, to close all banks in 10 days' time to rectify the changes made to the front side of the banking system and put it back to them controlling it again. There's only one problem with that. What are they controlling? Because there's no funds. And it's further proof of what we have already achieved. The time estimate for the banks being closed is 5 weeks, or early May, which probably is leading up to another one of their fake ceremonies or moon-based cycles. So here's the gist of what's going on and the alt media role in it. It's important. Drake has outed himself with that mass arrest and martial law plan. Like Keenan did when he read out that speech in May of 2016, Keenan's speech was actually an Asian faction document that was sent to the American government as a threat against America a few weeks earlier, and I had read it 5 to 6 weeks previous to Keenan. I knew what it was. The only groups who are pushing for martial law is the Rothschilds and the Black Sun groups. Now we counteracted that, as Kim is the top rank of security clearance on the planet, and so we would be in control of martial law, not them. At that point, we would have won. Now, they both pulled back when they found out about Kim as the lead role. Clearly, they're deaf as well as stupid. And neither Trump or some of the government people want martial law, only clowns and their fake white hats. Drake, being aware of that plan, is now confirmed as a member of the Black Sun group, aligned with his links to the OTO and the Hermetic Golden Dawn groups, and it confirms he is in league with the Black Sun organisation. The Black Sun wants martial law, arrests, banks to go down, and markets to go down. Now, the last three all sound so nice and great to a largely naive alt media outside of this show, but they will replace it not for the people, but a worse version than currently. The only group at the top level fighting for humanity is Kim, the Trust, and I. That is it. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish I was wrong. But I'm not. Fact. There are no white hats, no alliance, no SSP, no mass meditation groups, no 144,000 Yahweh followers either. All are fake supporting casts for the dark elements in a Groundhog Day style stage play. And I wish people would listen more and come to their own conclusions. The alt media is now corrupt and or dysfunctional at 99% now, and I hope people are starting to see it for themselves. The alt media has suddenly become part of the intel. Why? Because I've been saying since 2014 it's corrupt. People are no different on all levels. Outside of this group, I have not observed, witnessed, or been told of one revolutionary act of going against the system. Not one. All complied with the fake virus narrative. Whether it's an exercise or not, the people complied. No plans. A load of flip-flopping show hosts. Fear, fear, and more fear. Let's all stay in our homes and keep the 6-foot social distancing rules. Let's all be nice puppets. Social distancing is social engineering of the public. If it works once, they will repeat it with greater measures. And do not overlook the fact that they stated 6 feet as a distance. It's the same distance as people being buried. It is metaphorical and it's all in your face. Alt media idiots running around thinking it's 2014 again, and many complied. Don't believe me? Fine. OPPT mentioned again. Drake, mass arrests. Nasara happening. Jessara happening. 800 numbers happening. Universal basic income happening. Do you know what that really stands for? Universal basic income. Stay stupid, do nothing, and be a nice slave program, whilst we replace you with robots. And once completed, we get deleted. Fact. Mass meditations all over the alt media are a come-by-our style events that never fixed anything in the 60s and it won't now. They are encoded with misdirect as no one understands the seeding within that practice. The virus BS has all the hallmarks of the fears surrounding Jade Helm. Did anyone notice that? No, people too busy focusing on BS by and large, and even some within our own group. Do you want to know why they've closed down industry and put more people into debt, poverty and strife? Which is what's going on now. So they can keep hold of the few remaining funds. Work it out. They've just cancelled thousands of people's jobs, and we complied. For a virus that has killed 10,500 people globally, which is less than the population of the small town I live in, which is one town out of 33,000 in America alone, in one state out of 50, in one country out of 209, on one continent out of 7. For a virus that only kills people with preconditions, if we are to believe their official version. Yet where is their proof? Does anyone ask? No, they only ask him or I for proof. Virus my arse. They are the fucking virus. Do you not see that yet? They are the virus. And we have allowed them to take our jobs, lifestyles and freedoms away in a giant Ponzi scheme of bullshittery. You do realise half of those companies are not going to recover, don't you? All the gains made by the people, and they and the alt media all jumped to their tune, and we are set back again years in terms of energy vibration. Not one alt media has spoken of the energy vibration aspect. Because what THI and other people and groups were doing was combining their PSI fields to a greater cause. And the people have allowed them to take that off them and reduce them to babbling, flip-flopping, doubting, fear-based and lost children running around with zero direction, zero motivation and zero drive. This whole exercise has proven people will, by and large, rely on their government to tell them what to do, when and why. And the evidence of the so-called awake groups shows me we're no different in overview. The alt media, let me remind you of what it's supposed to stand for. It's supposed to stand against tyranny, injustice and overarching bureaucracy. And with one move, the majority outside of this group all jumped like puppets, bar a handful of real revolutionaries. Can people not see they're marching you into the pit? Only this group has said, do not comply. Do the conga and stick their social distancing up their ass. If we're going to achieve what we set out to do, more have to show a real backbone. Real patriots, real militia, real awake people all sacrificing for the greater good, not jumping out at the first opportunity and playing hide and seek on social media. Yes, you, Randy Morgans. Weak flip-flopping is not the order of the day. It requires many leaders to stand up and fight. It requires a focus, a direction, a commitment and an inner strength. Putting yourself on the line for the greater good. In a fight that's not just for you and your family now, but for the future of our whole species. Keep this piece in context and combine it with the information that follows in this show. These are judgment days. And you have to decide for yourselves what is your and our path.